Today I have brought you the terrifying story of a Joker whose magic guarantees your death if you don't like it. Not only that, this Joker killed people in such strange and brutal ways, and all with just a wave of his hand, that you'll be left astonished. So let's begin this mysterious story. At the start of the story, we see a middle-aged man named John walking alone down the street at night. Behind him, a terrifying figure is following. Not only that, but soon after, in front of everyone, appears the daughter of his first wife. John also sees the figure of Emma from her childhood. In reality, he no longer lived with his first daughter and wife. So today, feeling remorseful, he calls his first daughter to apologize repeatedly for leaving them. But by now, Emma had grown up a lot, and since childhood, she had felt the absence of her father. Emma was extremely angry at John, so without forgiving her father, she hangs up the phone. And at that moment, that strange, terrifying figure appears behind John once again. But strangely, John is not afraid when he sees it. Instead, he starts telling it that he tried to fix the relationship, but I couldn't do it. Hearing this, at first the masked man tries to comfort John, but after a while, he magically puts a noose around John's neck. As he tightens his own tie, the noose around John's neck also tightens, strangling him. Using his magical powers, the masked man lifts John into the air, kills him right there, and throws him off the bridge. And here we learn the name of that terrifying masked man, whatever it may be. The next day, at John's funeral, his daughter Emma also attended. There is also Jessie, John's second wife's daughter. Because her friends are there, Emma quickly leaves the place. Moving a bit to the side, Emma starts talking to her mother on the phone. Although Emma seemed happy to see her mother, in reality, she harbored deep resentment towards her father because of his neglect. So today, coming to her father's funeral, she thought that John had finally received the punishment he deserved for his sins. Anyway, while talking to her mother, Emma suddenly notices that the man named Jester is dancing next to her father's grave. Emma couldn't understand who this man was, and within a short while, Jester suddenly disappears from there again. Seeing such a strange situation, Emma quickly leaves the place. A little while later, two cemetery guards come and ask Jester to move away from the grave. But instead of leaving, Jester sits down on the grave with both feet up on it. Seeing this, the guards go to call the police, and just then, one of the guards falls to the ground and dies there. The other, while calling the police, goes to check on his friend and discovers that someone has tied his shoelaces together. In fact, Jester had done this with his magic. As the other guard was telling the police about all this, Jester interrupted him. In an instant, blood starts pouring from that man's mouth, and then an apple comes out of his throat. That man also dies there. Leaving both of the dead bodies behind, Jester leaves the scene. Anyway, now at night we see Emma, who had gone to a restaurant to meet her stepsister, Jessie. Actually, Jessie had called her and asked her to come. Because Jessie's mother had died a long time ago, and now with her father gone too, she was completely alone in this world. Jessie wanted to stay with Emma and be close to her. But Emma, under no circumstances, wanted to let Jessie stay with her. Because deep down, Emma still considered Jessie her enemy. She blamed Jessie for not having her father around during her childhood. So Emma left Jessie there and walked away. Now, when Jessie went to pay the restaurant bill, a man there told her, "Your father was a terrible person. I worked with him for many years. He used to practice all sorts of black magic and rituals all by himself. Maybe that's why your father died." Anyway, on the other hand, when Emma was returning home, Jester started following her. Emma was getting quite annoyed by all this, because today was Halloween. So she thought someone was probably wearing a mask and playing a prank on her. But after a while, Jester came in front of her and started showing her his card tricks. However, Emma got annoyed and walked away from there. But when Jester appeared in front of her again, this time Emma got really scared and quickly ran into a nearby shop. Anyway, after standing there for a while, Jester left for his own destination. While Jester was walking down the street, he saw that a mischievous boy was taking out a lot of candies from a little boy's bag. Seeing this, Jester, under the pretense of showing them magic, gave that naughty boy a good lesson. Seeing Jester's strange trick, both of the kids got scared and ran away from there. Meanwhile, Jessie returned home and was watching a ghost movie on TV. Anyway, after a while, Jesse started to feel as if his father was still around him even after his death. He could even see his father's shadow clearly. But fortunately, his friends show up to cheer him up and take away his fear. On one hand, Jesse is hanging out with his friends. On the other hand, Emma buys a bottle of liquor from the store and heads back home again. But on the way, she once again runs into Jester. As usual, Jester starts showing Emma his card tricks at 1 o'clock again. Meanwhile, Jesse is telling his friends that for the past few days, he has been feeling scared to stay at home. He feels as if his father is around him. Anyway, enough of these stories. On the other side, Jester shows Emma a magic trick at 1 o'clock. And Emma says, "Was that all your magic?" Saying this, She heads towards her house. Meanwhile, when Jesse leaves his friends in the next room and comes into his own room, he immediately senses something. It felt as if his father was sitting right next to him in the chair at 1 o'clock. Terrified, he rushed outside. Now, to get out of this house, he gets ready with his friends to go to the Halloween event. Meanwhile, as Emma was returning home, Jester started following her, and now, seeing Jester behind her, Emma is frightened. She drops the bottle in her hand on the ground, causing it to break. Jester then picks up a piece of the broken glass. Now Emma, furious, starts yelling at him saying, "Do you want to kill me? Then go ahead and do it, I won't run away anymore." But at that moment, Jester uses the shard of glass to cut his own throat, which terrifies Emma. But in the very next moment, the dead Jester once again rises from the ground with violent signs. This time, Emma, terrified, runs away from there. Meanwhile, Jessie goes inside the festival with her friends and enters the midst of all the terrifying room. Suddenly, Jessie's friend Danielle comes up behind her. Jessie, overwhelmed with fear, starts running away from there. She was so scared that she began to cry. While crying, Jessie tells her friends, "I have no one. I have no mother, no father. I wanted to create a new family with all my sisters, but even she doesn't want to stay with me." Saying all this, she kept crying while her friends tried to comfort her in various ways. Meanwhile, Emma, covered in blood, ran back into that same shop. She tried to explain to the shop employee that she had seen a terrifying person. The person who, even after dying, came back to life again. But the shopkeeper, as usual, didn't believe a word she said. Instead, he sent her to the bathroom to freshen up. Meanwhile, the shopkeeper had already called the police because he was very suspicious of Emma. When the police questioned Emma about the strange incidents that had happened to her, just then, Jester enters the shop and Emma immediately tells the police everything. The police then ask Jester to remove his mask, but Jester, using his magic, handcuffs both police officers. Not only that, he uses his hat to decapitate one of the officers. Seeing this, the shopkeeper runs away from the scene, and the other police officer fires several shots at Jester to kill him, but the bullets hit the decapitated officer's body, killing him on the spot. Then, when the police officer tries to shoot Jester again, Jester catches the bullet with his hand. Seeing this, Emma runs away from there, and within moments, Jester kills the remaining police officer as well. He comes outside. Meanwhile, inside the event, Jessie once again sees the apparition of her dead father. Anyway, on the other side, Jester appears in front of Jessie's friend Michael and starts performing a magic trick for him using several cups. Michael was getting quite annoyed by all these tricks. So at that moment, Jester, from under one of the cups at 1 o'clock, he reveals a set of teeth, and by then, all of Michael's teeth had come out of his mouth. Not only that, when another cup is lifted, it is seen that Michael's eyes have also popped out at 2 o'clock. Michael starts running away from there to save his life. Meanwhile, Jester also attacks the rest of Jessie's friends. He injures and kills them as well. Meanwhile, Emma, running away from Star, becomes exhausted and sits down at one spot. Just then, she receives a call from her mother, but in reality, it was Jester, speaking to her in her mother's voice and communicating through gestures over the phone. Star tells her, "Are you afraid of me? Don't be scared. If you see me, Jessie will be the one who's scared. Just forget everything that happened today, and by tomorrow morning, all of this will feel like a dream. But if you want, we can play this deadly game again." But by now, Emma has already seen Jester's terrifying form. She starts to feel love for Jessie. Now, to save Jessie, she runs from there as fast as she can. On her way, Emma arrives at the bridge, the very place where her father was killed by Jester. There, Emma sees the apparition of her father in front of her, who is trying to communicate with her. Even after trying 100 times, he had failed. Emma realizes that even if it was just before his death, her father had understood his mistakes. He actually loved Emma very much. So for the first time, Emma, crying, begins to ask her father's apparition for forgiveness. But here, John keeps blaming Emma for his death. Not only that, now he puts his own noose around Emma's neck. He throws her off the bridge as well. And Emma finds herself in a strange cemetery-like place where she sees before her the childhood versions of herself and her sister Jessie, all of whom are blaming Emma together for killing their father. But Emma realizes that all of this is an illusion created by the Jester. So she escapes from there and enters the next room. There, once again, she sees her father and her stepsister Jessie as children. There, both father and daughter were very happy. But then upon seeing Emma in the room, her father starts blaming her, saying, "I never loved you. You were an accident. I never wanted to bring you into this world. I hate you. As he keeps saying these things, both John and Jesse come in front of Emma and start laughing. And suddenly Jesse keeps saying, "Wake up, Emma." But by then, Emma, furious at her father and sister, stabs them with a knife. She stabs Jesse in the stomach and immediately realizes that all of this was actually an illusion created by the star. In reality, she has truly stabbed her sister Jessie. Poor Jessie, even while injured, tells her sister that she doesn't blame her. She says she knows the star made Emma hallucinate and do all these things. Seeing her sister in such a state, Emma breaks down in tears. In her rage, she repeatedly stabs the star with the knife, but naturally nothing happens to the star. After this incident, the star leaves the place. When the scene changes, we see Emma letting go of all the hatred in her heart and visiting her father's grave to pay her respects. There she prays a lot for her father and then goes to the 1 o'clock club. There, seeing her sister Jessie in a cheerful mood, she herself becomes extremely happy. In the end, the two sisters start living together like a family at the 1 o'clock club, and with this, today's story comes to an end. But many questions remain within this story. For example, and why did she come? What was her purpose? Why was she doing all those things? None of these questions were answered in the movie. What I think is that Esther was actually created by M and her mother through some kind of black magic, and through Esther, they wanted to take revenge on John and his second family. Because naturally, John moving on caused her a lot of pain. It was very difficult for her to raise Emma. So, driven by revenge, she did all these things. But in the end, when Em saw the love in Jesse's eyes, her hatred was defeated by that love. And Jester also disappears.